Okay, guys. I just wanted to touch on the sprint lane topic, which got announced yesterday is going in at Hobart. It's obviously been public news for a while now, but I definitely haven't said anything prior to now. Because to be honest, I'm beastly careless and a little bit torn. On one hand, it makes my job as a punter a lot easier, but I'm also one who can see the big picture, and I think it's a band-aid solution to the real issue impacting harness racing. And that real issue is that the product's boring to the general public out there. It's just not in capturing the younger age segment. And to think a sprint lane's going to help is absolutely ridiculous. Like if we just think that, as I said, with the boring side, like all sprint lanes do is make races more boring, which is hard to believe. Because simple facts are, if a leader's copping pressure, he's now got the option of handing up, whereas before it was, I don't know if this horse will get me, take me to the finish line, etc., etc. So, and it actually gives less horses more of a chance to win. Anybody thinks otherwise has got rocks in their head, to put it bluntly. If you go through the form guide, there's probably only one or two horses a week who get held up. And mainly they're held up because the races aren't truly run. So the far better solution would be to increase a sectional time requirement to something meaningful, like a 64 half in 2200, even quicker, 63 half. But I suppose the other thing we can look at is, we'll just do some simple maths, like if so I love backing leaders, fence horses as it is, because they're taking the short way home. They're getting the benefit of slipstreaming the entire race. If they don't get out, I'm happy to take that risk as a punter because they're taking the short way home. Actually, I might, this will test me with the math side of things, but just open up a notepad, doll. Like if we just think of the old high school maths, like the circumference equals, I've got no idea to put the pi sign in WordPad, 2 pi times r. So just so we're working on a 1,000 metre track, we know that C obviously equals 1,000, the circumference. Pi we'll just put in as 3.14. We won't go any further in decimal points. And R we just need to calculate. So not the most exciting thing, but I think it explains my fence argument probably better than any amount of words. Yep, so to calculate R, we obviously just need to isolate it in this formula. So we just divide both sides by 2 pi, which leaves us with R equals C divided by 2 pi. So that means the radius is, so C, which is 1,000, divided by 2 times 3.14, which is 6.28. So we'll get that calculator. So oops, hit the wrong button there. Where's the divided by? Yep, so that shows the radius is equals to 159.23. and that's for horses on the inside of the track. So if we just go, say, we'll just open up paint, and we'll just draw a nice little circle. So that's our harness track. So obviously the full distance is 1,000, but we've just calculated the radius, which is half the from the centre of the circle to the outside. So that measurement there is 159.23 metres. But obviously we need to, that's for the horses on the inside. But obviously this radius, just say the running line horses are another metre out, so we need to add another metre to the radius. So to calculate how far the circumference of the track is for horses one horse off the fence, we need to change that to 160.23. So, and we'll put that into this formula. So it's 2 pi, so I've already worked there, that's 6.28, which is 2 times 3.14 times, and our radius for off the fence horses is that plus 1, which is 160.23. So we'll just go and calculate that. So I've hit the wrong button again, sorry about that. Yep, so 160.23 times 6.28. So you can see, so one horse off the, so 1 metre off the fence the entire lap is 1,006 metres. So each lap, the horses, one horse off the fence, are running an extra 6 metres compared to those on the fence. So if you multiply that for a 2,200 metre race, it means they're running, you know, roughly 13.5, 14 metres further off the fence than inside. So that's my main argument with this. It's you're giving horses taking the shortest way home. Like, it's only fair that they take the risk of not getting out if they're going less distance. You know, like, it's just, I just can't believe people believe it's a good thing for the long-term betterment of the product. Like, as I said, from my side of things, it's actually good. It makes it easier to win money. But, you know, it's a very small-minded decision. Like, hasn't actually been thought through properly. Like, yeah, I suppose the one trying to find positives, Hobart final turn, a lot of horses don't come through with great momentum for some reason. So it might sort of mean that a lot don't hit the sprint lane with momentum, unlike the good rolling tracks. Put one in Launceston, it would be a disaster. Yeah, but the other thing about them as well is that, as I mentioned at the start, it makes races less don't have as much early tempo in them, which means they're on speed dominated. I think the actual stats show that nearly 75% of races are now won by horses lead, death, or sit leaders back. So actually, like, leaders back's already the second best place to be in the run as far as where winners come from. Now you're just giving them a bigger advantage. And as I said, you've also got the streamlining aspect. So you've got horses taking the shortest way home, which we've proven, but now they're going about 15 metres minimum shorter. And they're also getting the benefit of drafting, slipstreaming. You know, if you just think of motorbike racing, car racing, cycling, it's also been proven in horse racing that trailing means you lose less energy. So, yeah, it's just a very small-minded decision. As I said, I'm beastly careless, but I do have the long-term hopes of the industry at heart, and I'm just very disappointed by the decision. Like, Victorian racing is just become boring since their introduction. Punters get a hand-up mentality. It's meant to be competitive. You get there to win the races. Otherwise, you might as well not run them. As far as leaders versus leaders back dynamic, leaders, it's all tempo related. I'll give drivers a tip out there if they're not too familiar with the process, that if you run the third quarter quicker than the fourth quarter, you're in a world of trouble if the horse on your back's got any semblance of ability. But obviously, if you stack them up and dash them home, then you've obviously still got every chance to get home. But as I said, from my side of things, decisions should be made for the to address the real solution. I'd be running more mile races, giving speed incentives, quicker first half requirements. Truly run races, horses get out and tend to get their chance anyway. The only times horses get held up are in the ugly pack finishes. So, yeah, but why should we be giving horses taking the shortest way home a guaranteed run as well? As I said, it's just common sense that it actually gives less horses more of a chance to win. But unfortunately, people think it's, you imagine if you owned a horse who was climbing all over them, you'd be moaning for a week. Yeah, I might be. I'd also be moaning for a week if I got gassed in the death and got done by one who'd done no work, got the sprint lane up and covered less ground and nailed me on the line. I'd be moaning more about that than the horse that was held up. So it's all sort of swings and roundabouts on that front. So yeah, that's just my 5 cents worth. I probably should have had something a bit better prepared, like the old maths, grade 7 maths lecture there was pretty average, but yeah. Anyway, guys, it's going to be interesting. I said credit to them for listening to industry participants. I'll certainly give them that. But as the old saying goes, be careful what you wish for, because it's not always as green as it seems from the outside. So anyway, we'll wrap it up there, and I'll be back with a preview on Saturday night. So thanks again.